This is Abbey Road One, and the only thing I used to make this fantasy track. Whoo, you're a wizard, Harry. Hey, what's up? So, anyone that follows Spitfire knows that they released a couple of add-ons to Abbey Road. And so I got an email that they put Abbey Road One back to introductory prices. So I thought, didn't I like that basically? And I just kind of lost track of it. So I checked it out, went for a couple of reviews. And you know what? I kind of like what I heard. There was a couple different things that were working for me. And so I dove in. So I thought, well, okay, let's take it out for a spin, take it out for a test drive. So I loaded up a new project and just added instances of Abbey Road One as I needed them. So this is nothing but Abbey Road One. Okay. Of course, there were several John Williams soundtracks that were recorded at Abbey Road. So I thought that made me think of fantasy, like Harry Potter. I haven't done that for you guys, so let me see what I can do. So what did I do? I started out, I didn't listen to anything. When I thought of fantasy track, something like Harry Potter and John Williams. Now, look, clearly, I'm not saying I'm trying to do a John Williams track, but I'm just saying that was the reference point and made me think of, well, what are some things I heard? I don't have the cojones to say I'm going to do a John Williams sound-alike on any level. You know what I mean? I'm saying, what can I pull from that universe to create a good solid track without a lot of hassle in a couple of hours. Today, I just started playing with it and ended up making it. So this is going to be a breakdown track. So what did I think of? I thought what struck me, I remembered about that Harry Potter soundtrack was this really fast. Was it the celeste or glockenspiel? Was something really fast, and the strings were just blazing, like right, just blazing fast on some of those parts. I didn't do blazing, but what I did was I watched three different videos today. Guy Michelmore talking about, I hope that's how it's pronounced, showing him doing step entry because he was doing something really fast. So I had to look up how to do step entry because I don't really, I've never really done that. I've done that, I think, once or twice over the years. I couldn't even remember how to do it. Another composer talking about he liked that the strings could be kind of soft, but doing a really fast pattern. So I thought, oh, cool. That's two voting for the strings in those terms. And then another composer talking about the trumpets, the short staccatissimo trumpets. And as you know, you're going to hear that, like in Star Wars, da-da-da-da, or Harry Potter, for John Williams, you're always going to hear that, da-da-da-da. There's some high triplet kind of trumpet thing. And it's like so signature, right? Like, you see the Millennium Falcon, da-da-da-da. So I just thought, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to make it fast. I'm going to make the pattern really fast. I'm going to make sure I include that trumpet kind of pattern with staccatissimo trumpets. Staccatissimo. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I do not know.
Staccatissimo.
I usually say staccato. Staccatissimo. Staccatissimo. Am I saying? I don't know. What if I'm not? I just had those two things in mind. And then I thought, I haven't done this kind of thing a lot. So it would come down to listening. But I kind of wanted to just jump in without. And then after I got it started, I listened to a little bit and try to go, okay, what am I missing? But I kind of ran out of patience for that. So this is only about a minute long, and it's got a few different little sections. So I just try to add some interest, keeping the pattern going. So look, we're just going to dive in, and then we'll break it down. Cool? So I did a fantasy track. I pulled in some elements that I had heard of that made me think of a fantasy track, like a really fast string pattern, and got to have the high staccato trumpets.
Staccatissimo.
And other than that, it was kind of like the mood, the chord changes that was sort of what you would hear on a fantasy vibe. Chord changes, it's the instrumentation. It's the instrumentation that lends itself. So yeah, we're gonna play it through, then I'll kind of explain. So this is gonna be a breakdown track because I bought Abbey Road One and I just sort of started playing with it and came up with the track. And then I thought, oh, I wish I had recorded the whole thing, but here we are. So yeah, we'll just play through it. It's only about a minute. And then we'll go back and kind of break it down and I'll explain what my thought was. And hopefully, as always, my goal with the channel is how to create broadcast ready production tracks without a bunch of hassle, right? Without, we're not waiting for the muse. We're not worried about it being, perfect. We're gonna dive in and then we'll go in and break it down. Cool? Okay, then we'll start. I kind of have these tracks mostly in order of how I played them in. Here's what I did to start with. Earlier today, I had this idea of what I was going to play. So clearly, I can't play that fast. Now, when I heard it, it was of course slower. I heard it more. That kind of thing. But what you can do in Digital Performer, and I'm sure you can do this in pretty much any DAW, is Studio, Step Record. And I had to look this up, totally had to look this up. It was weird. So look, rather than me figuring out how to exactly do this in front of the world, you can see it did basically enter it in eighth note triplets. I don't know why it was off. It's weird. So yeah. So I'll just move it where it's supposed to be and play it back. Okay, so yes. Yes, Lord. I'm gonna repeat that a couple times. And it was actually up an octave. $59. And so as far as the velocities, what I did, at first I tried to do it all the same. What did I just say? First I tried to do it the same velocity. It sounded like crap. And well, you could hear it when it's hitting harder. Now I knew I didn't want it to sound that hard, so I pulled it down. But what made a big difference? This tool, reshape tool, which I also had to figure out today. I was trying to draw it in with a pencil. I think it was over the course of a bar. So making it kind of rise and fall over the course of one bar. You see how it's doing that? And then it sounds a little more human and natural and a little bit of a phrase going on. Right? Isn't that nice? Now, if I like basically the curve going on, I could make the whole thing lower or higher. Just say, let's make it all softer. It's so quiet, you almost can't hear. Raise it way up. We'll see if it even makes a difference or not. So I found the balance I like. Now this is not the pattern that I used. I was just showing you how I entered it in and had to adjust it. Dynamics. You got to use dynamics. One thing that will make virtual instruments sound less lifelike is if there's no dynamics. I started with this pattern. Now, here, let me show you something. Let's see if this will work again. Steady. Step record. If you don't necessarily hear a pattern yet, but say you want to start with a simple chord progression, do like a chord progression in the piano or something. If you know you want to do this pattern, you could just. So look. God bless me. God bless me, everyone, my friends. Here's what we're going to do. Studio. See, I can't see it. Eighth note, triplets. I'm going to have to figure out how to use this because I really don't know. Quantize it, repeat it 3 times. So what do we got going on here? We're not using this pattern, but we have the notes entered. Right? So let's say if you wanted to play a pattern in some other instrument first, let's say like this. Ready? So I decided I'm going to play F minor, G sus, then G. Now, if you want to be crazy, you could just, if you want to do the exact same pattern for 4 beats, you could do that. Quantize. Now we know we're going to be in a. You could do that. It would go faster. I'd probably rather do just like a pattern that kind of goes over at least a couple different variations. Whoops. So we're going to grab this and scoot it over. And so we could go ahead and reshape that. Right. Look at those little hills of just lovely dynamics. So that was taking just one note repeated, 12 notes at a bar times 4, and then deciding after the fact what chord progression you wanted to do. And so that's one way to do it. If you don't know, if you want to go, just get your notes in and then move them around. Nice. Now the horn could probably use a little, dynamics. Like, well, I don't want to mess with it because I'm using this in the piece. Anyway, so yeah. I'm not saying that was perfect, but that's how we put in the first string. So I started with that. Also, if you look at my MIDI down here, you'll see, of course, like most string libraries, I had to bump it forward about, I think about 30 ticks. I don't know what that translates to in milliseconds. There's probably a standard amount with each library you have, right? From that point, I thought, all right, I want it to build, so let me start with just a simple sort of pluck note on the lower strings on the tonic. Then I did chords. So that's where I landed. I went, okay, now what? Now what? Well, I remembered hearing, I don't know if it was a Glock or a Celeste or a Celestina or Steniesio. I basically copied the string parts to the glockenspiel for the second 8 bars. Put it up an octave. Since it's a hard hit, I quantized it back to eighth note triplets. I left this, and I think it probably helps, just a little bit of something, a little bit of variation. I remember hearing that Harry Potter score, the opening piece or something. I don't know if it's John Williams playing the crap out of, I need to look it up. Is it Celeste, Celestina, glockenspiel? It was really light, but it was going very fast. It worked for that. Let me throw that in there. So that's why I did this. So that's the first 16 bars. And this piece is only, I guess it's almost 3, sets, 3 phrases like that. The only other thing I did, I guess, was let me try a simple timpani, just to hear a little sort of the bass factor, just kind of light, and see what it sounds like. And I liked it. I was just trying, I was experimenting because if you said, okay, we're going to do a fantasy track, what are you going to do? It's not like I could give a dissertation on it, but I thought, okay, I know some things I want to try. And of course, the joy of, as I say, it's okay to experiment. It's okay. I think this turned out nice. I just did a little experimenting that I'm sorry you missed out on that. I'm not exactly sorry that you missed out on it, but I am kind of sorry. So anyway, I threw in a light temp. It's kind of like an upper octave, just every, 4 bars? Then I was like, okay, what? I don't think I wanted to keep that same pattern going. That'll probably be like overkill. People will be like, okay, I can't take that. It goes from being, oh, that's interesting, and what is it? It's mystical and magical to, I'm going to punch myself in the face, right? So what did I do next? I think I copied this same string pattern to high woodwind short, but then I ended up changing the chord progression after I messed around with some stuff. So I believe the first thing I had in was the high woodwind short at that point. So I'll So yeah. See, I can hear a couple things that I feel like it could be a little smoother in terms of the writing, in terms of the energy and it keeping it going. It did a good job. It's like it kept the motion going, but it changed textures with going to the woodwinds and the celeste, the glockenspiel and the high strings stopping and switching to the high woodwinds, short woodwinds. So you see, like by itself, I think you feel like, well, I feel like something I'm hearing about the phrase doesn't quite, it isn't flow as smoothly as I'd like. But in context, I think it works very well. Just saying, I hear it. I'm with you. I hear it. I think I added low brass at that point. So this is in Abbey Road. It's just the low brass. It combines trombones and tubas, and you can do longs or shorts. And maybe we'll pull up instruments to see, just to show you. Okay, so the first 8 bars, we added the low brass. Right? One of the things one of my composer friends talked about was the short trumpets, which is, it's like a signature thing you're gonna hear in a John Williams track, right? It's the and these are great. These sound great. And like my friend said, he was like, I'm gonna replace this in my template. This is gonna be the short trumpets from now on. His call, and he's like one of the best virtual orchestrator guys, in my opinion. I absolutely love his stuff. I'm sure I'll write his name in. I'm bad enough remembering sometimes my own dog's name. Anyway, so I thought I have to throw in some short trumpets. What to me has that sound? What has that, something that you're gonna hear in a fantasy score or a John Williams score? Again, look, I'm not trying to do a John Williams score, but what can I throw in that is sort of a signature sound? So what can I do? What can I throw in that's a sound? And I did this the same way. I think I did play this in. I managed to play it in live, and then of course, tweak it and quantize it. But it's right on the money. So those are really tight sounds. Those are great. So, I mean, those are great. I love them. Those are my favorite short trumpets that I have at this point. No doubt. Okay. I am not lying. Oh, also, I believe I put a xylophone in there. So let me hear sort of a nice, crisp, just really, I want to hear a really accurate 8th note triplet going on. So I believe this is a xylophone. To see, I didn't know if it would work, but I think it did. Right? Okay. So I knew something was missing. I added a little salt and pepper with this French horn swell. Now that's an actual performed swell. It's in the samples. They have like a short, medium, and long swell. So this is actually performed by the player. You know what I mean? So sounds great. Right. Okay. So I knew something was missing. I added a little bit of a low string chordal thing. Sordino. These are low strings. Nice, right? Okay. Now, hearing by themselves, I could probably do some tweaking with the dynamics. Where did that leave us? Is anybody left out? So here's everything in that section. And so where did that leave us? Where did that leave us? So we continued on with the brass. I started playing chords, French horn melody. Did I play the French horn? The French horn melody. I didn't play it for you, did I? I didn't solo it for you. But hey, that's okay. I don't think I've soloed everything, have I? We went from all of that madness into the next 8 bars. I decided I want to establish the vibe, the feel, and hopefully make it where you go, yeah, that's like a fantasy track. It's like a fantasy adventure, but not spend a bunch of time coming up with more sections or whatever. So I ended it after these 8 bars. So this is kind of the bigger, big-ish, moderately big-ish last section, ending-ish. So I know I had the low brass, the trumpet thing's going. I added high long trumpets along with the short trumpets. The French horn swell is still going, the French horn melody. Something that we did not have at all until that point was this percussion, right? So what do we have going? This it's kind of like a low tom, I think. So it's kind of like the same way I would use epic toms. Just a simple pattern, and it just sounded really nice. They're not huge, but so I think adding a little beef, a little bit of balls in this last part. The motion of the rhythm and that low end energy really lifted it. It was a good thing. Okay. And the temp's going. So low brass and trumpets continue. I did a simple melody with a glockenspiel too. So as far as the strings, I brought back a fast pattern in the upper strings and a more simple, just pulsing on the quarter notes. Now this is 170 beats per minute. So even the quarter notes are like dun, 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 right? But I brought in a string pattern in octaves, that short strings, I brought them back. That French horn swell was there, the French horn melody, percussion, and timpani. So then I thought, what can I do to bring it down? So I just paused for a second. And then I did a simple, like a little cool down, a little quick cool down. So at the end there, I did a melody in the low strings, con sordino. I followed along and did a similar melody in the glockenspiel. Did like a counter melody with a harmony in the French horn. And then while I was holding that last bit, I did a little salt and pepper in the lower short strings. Right? Does that make sense? Am I making sense to you? And so let's Let's sort of watch all this together, shall we? The whole shebang showing in the MIDI again. Cool. Is it helpful also to have this view? Maybe? I don't know. Is it? I just do, look, I do a playthrough like this if it helps, just to show. Basically, I started with one instance of Abbey Road One, and now we just click on it and duplicate it and then pick a new instrument. It's what I did. It's what I did. So I used glockenspiel. This is in a patch called Percussion Tuned. It has glockenspiel, xylophone, or timpani hits. Strings, low strings, spiccato, all the low strings. Trumpets, staccatissimo for those high, right? Low brass, marcato. You can see all the options they have here. Long, staccatissimo, tenuto. Apparently that's somewhere between marcato and staccato, staccatissimo. Swell is short, swell's medium. Those performed swells can be really nice just to add a lovely realism instead of just like in the mod wheel, right? High woodwinds, we used these staccatissimo high woodwinds. They have longs, tenuto, marcato. Swell is short, swell is medium, swell is long, right? Horns, we use two different ones. I use medium swells for just a couple of things. And for the solo kind of stuff, it was, it's not one horn. It's a horn section, longs. So they have all the same kind of different options there. With Abbey Road, let me forget to tell you, you push this middle part, additional little thing pops up over here that's, I don't know if it's all the same or not. This says reverb, release, and tightness. It must adjust where the start time is in the sample. I don't know. Percussion tune, we use xylophone in that middle section, remember? So we use glockenspiel and xylophone. This was a xylophone. Percussion ensemble, full ensemble. There's drum ensemble and medals. I haven't really explored those. I used full ensemble and just ended up using those couple of low toms. Timpani hits. This is percussion tuned. I used the timpani. So we used percussion tuned and we ended up using all three of these. Brass trumpets, we used a marcato for the, in that middle section. It was the second set of 8 bars, right? So I just pulled it. And I'm sure you can do a key switch, but just for simplicity, I did not. You can definitely do a key switch. I didn't want to mess with it. And then the low strings, long, look, con sordino. Those sounded really nice. So there's no legato in this, but, for these purposes, I mean, this track is nothing but Abbey Road One. And honestly, I really like it. I like the sound of it. I think for this intro price of $349, it does a really nice It's great. It sounds really good. There is a couple of mixed reviews. For me, it's just the sound of it, the ease of getting a good performance. It just works for me. One person wasn't happy; they wanted it to go louder, have more balls. But yeah, it basically it works for me. So I think we basically covered it. Cool. So that's doing a fantasy track. I also have the British symphonic orchestra, whatever. British, yeah. The other sort of thing that it probably makes a good pair with this because it's got some solo instruments and a different sound. But I'm very happy with this. When I went to is it Blake Robinson, his review, and he talked about just the sound and those trumpets. He was very happy with it. And Guy Mitchellmore, I'm sorry, I don't. I'm a fan. I subscribed to your channel. I guess I haven't heard you say your name a lot. I don't know if I'm saying it right. So yeah, between hearing a couple different things, I was like, I'm gonna do it. And I'm glad. I'm satisfied with this purchase. So this is Abbey Road One, and the only thing I used to make this fantasy track. Right, cool. Whoo, you're a wizard, Harry. All right, thanks for stopping by. See you in the next video.